you want to take all the steam and all the power out of 95% of your most common objections, or even eliminate them completely. Terrific, because that's all that this video is about. I'm Stephen Long, and I've spent the last 25 years of my life involved in recruitment, teaching recruitment, doing recruitment. I do recruitment stuff. That's what I do. This video is taken from one of the longer series, and it explains everything you need to know about killing objections, or at least minimizing them before they get the chance to turn into real issues. So, let me give you an example. When you first make a cold call to somebody over the phone, they're very likely, almost certain to say, "Oh, I'm too busy, I've already got an existing supplier." That's pretty much 90–95% of people will say that. Whether it's true or not is a whole other training course. But you know you're going to get those. So the inoculation process is the process of acknowledging them and then moving past them. And I learned this explicitly from one of my mentors, a guy called Richard Bandler, who was one of the co-developers of NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And he's trained all sorts of people that you wouldn't have thought of as having gone through what people think of as NLP training. So he's obviously, Richard trained me, he trained Tony Robbins, he trained Darren Brown, he's trained all sorts of very well-known, very influential people who use the same techniques in all sorts of different ways. Some of them are obvious, some of them are very much not. Some of it's out there and some of it's very subtle and under the radar. But the same approach is used with everything, and I'll cover that for you in a second. The technique is the idea of inoculation. And a psychological inoculation works in exactly the same way as a physical inoculation, which we're all well aware of now in terms of the vaccine jabs. What you do with a medical inoculation, medical vaccine, you give somebody a weak or inert version of a virus. They develop antibodies against it. If they are confronted with the virus, it doesn't stop them catching it. That's important to be aware of. It doesn't stop them catching it, it just reduces the symptoms. So in the case of a vaccine, a virus I should say, it means that instead of ending up in hospital, they just get a bit of a cough and a sniffle for a few days. It can be a bit heavy, but it's not a major thing like it has been in the past. Psychological inoculations do exactly the same thing. So what you do is you give somebody a weak version, a weak or inert version of the objection or potential roadblock. You acknowledge it and then you move on past it. Now, an inoculation, a psychological inoculation, only works before the objection is raised. After there's an objection, it moves into objection handling, different topic. Exactly the same way as a vaccination and inoculation works before you get the virus. After you've got the virus, it's an antiviral, and that's a completely different thing. So exactly the same, physical or psychological inoculations. So here's the rule to work with. If an objection is predictable, it's preventable. Let me say that again. If an objection is predictable, it's preventable. So there are hundreds of thousands of potential objections, but most of them are incredibly rare. On the other hand, whatever mode of communication you're using, about whatever you're communicating, with whom, no matter who you're communicating with, there's probably only a couple of absolutely dead cert objections. And those are the ones that you acknowledge and move on from. I'll show you how to do that in a second. Having been taught about inoculations from Dr. Richard Bandler, I have a very different experience of watching people like Tony Robbins when they're doing their thing, because effectively Tony Robbins and I have had the same training from the same people, very different life experiences, obviously, and he's about 1.5 foot taller than me as well. But it's slightly weird because I'll watch someone like Tony Robbins start their training sessions, and the first thing Tony will do, if it's a video, Tony will spend a couple of minutes, maybe up to 5 minutes, hammering the inoculations. We've all got different life experiences, and you may have been through training in the past, and you may have seen this, and you may have done that, and you may have done the other. Hammers those inoculations so that he can move on to the main point. Doing a face-to-face training like Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within seminar, if you've never been, really worthwhile, especially now they're online. Brilliant thing. I digress. I'm not here promoting his stuff. He's just I've been through a lot of events with Tony with a slightly different context. But Tony will spend, at a face-to-face event, he'll spend the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes dealing with all of the common objections that stop people engaging with what he's doing. He'll acknowledge the fact that there's lights and music and stuff like that. He'll acknowledge the fact that he's American and you're not. He'll acknowledge the fact that he's a big middle-aged man and you're not. He just acknowledges all the things that might stop you fully engaging in the training that he's doing. And he does that so brilliantly that, well, he's Tony Robbins. But my experience is slightly weird because I'm sat there giggling as I'm watching him do it, because I can see exactly what he's doing. I know exactly how he's doing it. And it makes my experience of his events slightly different to most people's. It's quite hard for me to fully associate with it. But, having digressed, that technique can be used just as well for putting together a cold call as it can for running a seminar with 100,000 people. Because people is people is people. The only difference is the medium with which you're communicating with them. That's the only difference. If you're talking to 100,000 people, you need to deliver it in a different way than if you're face-to-face in a meeting with one person. But the technique is always the same. And that's what you're going to learn to use to maximum effect. Does that make sense? Does that hang together for you? Fantastic. Let me give you some examples. Let's say that you are on LinkedIn, you've connected with somebody and you want to engage them and get them onto your company page, or you want to engage them and start a little conversation with them. Now, if you just say, "Hey, thanks for connecting, follow my company page," a certain proportion of people will, because frankly, a certain proportion of people will do anything if you ask them to. But most people will go, well, that's a bit pushy, that's a bit outrageous, that's a bit obnoxious, that's a bit rude. I've just connected with you, I don't know you from Adam, and you're just asking me to follow your company page. Sod off. Now, if you've ever connected with me on LinkedIn, or if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, when you do, you will get an email that says, "Hi," your name, "Hi, Dick, Jane or Spot. Thanks for connecting. Being a bit cheeky, if you could follow my company page, that'd be great. There's loads of stuff goes on there every single day. Hi, Dick, Jane or Spot. Thanks for connecting. Just being a bit cheeky, that one expression, which is enormously English, I know. Just being a bit cheeky, if you could follow my company page, that'd be great. Simple as that. I've acknowledged that I'm being cheeky, asking a pretty much a complete stranger to do something for me. But The last time I got any pushback on that, where anybody objected to me asking, was 18 months ago. And I have never had anybody get into a upset about it. What generally happens is people come back and go, hey, he's not cheeky at all. Don't worry about it. We're all in the same kind of industry. No problem. I've given you a follow. And my link to follow ratio, it's about 45%, which is okay. I can live with that. Would I like it to be 90%? That'd be great. Will it ever be? Nope. But it's absolutely fine. And if we talk together on the billings breakthrough, I'll explain why that 45% follow through rate, why that 45% rate of being cheeky, would you follow my company page, to them actually following it. I'll explain why that's an important step and why 45% is perfectly good ratio, thank you. But I digress. Or a more extreme example. Let's talk about making a cold call. If I cold call Amanda Blanc, if I cold call somebody, let me give you the opening of my cold calling script. So remember, the common objections are, I'm busy, I'm not expecting your call, is this a sales call, I don't have time. Great. So, hi, my name's Stephen Long, I'm calling from Stephen Long Training. Sorry to catch you on the hop. I know you weren't expecting the call and I'm absolutely sure you're busy. Let me explain why I'm calling. We do this, this and this, and what I'd like to do is take a couple of minutes just to explain that and ask you a couple of questions. This is a sales call, so if at the end of that time we've got something interesting to talk about, we can carry on, and if not, I'll be out of your hair and I'll never dog in your tails again. How's that sound? So, introduce myself. Sorry to catch you on the hop. I know you weren't expecting the call and I'm sure you're really busy at the moment. Let me explain why I'm calling. We do this, this, this and this. Yeah, this is a sales call. And here's what I'd like to do. And if that's interesting, I'll be out of your hair in a couple of minutes. How's that sound? 15, 20 seconds and I've knocked down all of the major objections. Now, what do I mean by knocked down? Well, let me go back a sec. I don't need to kill the potential objection. I just need to minimize it. So if I say to you, I'm sorry to catch you on the hop. I know you're really busy. Can you then say, well, I'm really busy? Well, yeah, you can. But I've already acknowledged that. So there won't be any steam in it. If I say, yes, this is a sales call, can you then turn around and go, is this a sales call? Well, yeah, of course you can turn around and say that. Nothing I can do can stop you. But there's no steam in it. There's no big emotional content in it anymore because I've acknowledged your potential issues. I've acknowledged your potential objections. And then I've moved straight through them. So it doesn't mean that they won't come up. It just means that if and when they do, there's a lot less juice and power in them. And that means that we can just move on with the conversation. Does that make sense? I'm conscious that that sounds a bit too simplistic, a bit too good to be true. But really, all it's about is acknowledging somebody's potential objections and then just moving past them. If they want to bring them up later, they can do. No problem at all. But 99 times out of 100, once you've learned how to do them right, nobody will even notice that you've done them. For example, I know that might sound a bit simple or simplistic, but that ring any bells? Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, put a like down there. If you have questions, put it in the comments or catch me on Instagram or on LinkedIn. If it's been good for you, subscribe and hit the notification button so that you don't miss any more of the recruitery goodness. And I'll see you next time.